So, two Democrat governors, Beshear in Kentucky, just reelected, incredibly, and Roy Cooper in North Carolina, penned this op-ed in the USA Today. You know, for those who like to play with their food, that's their news outlet. Anyway, those two.
That's a great analogy.
Those two knuckleheads. I mean, it's basically an anti-school choice screed. I mean, I tell you, I got to give the teachers union and the politicians they own credit, despite having clearly lost the argument and increasingly losing ground. They're not giving up. They don't give up easily. They don't give an inch of turf easily, as we've seen in Illinois, being with the history-making repeal of the tax credit scholarship program in this state. But so the argument goes, the Republican plan is to loot the government schools. The Republicans are looting government schools, who see their, per pupil expenditures going up at a 45-degree angle, which has been the case for the better part of the last 3 decades, almost everywhere. But okay. And don't forget, I mean, they just trot out the same, that they're resuscitating, like it was dormant, these scholarships that were initially used by Southern governors during Jim Crow to do an end run around integration. I mean, the fact that they can make those arguments and have any self-respect is a real triumph of sort of human rationalization for me, because, of course, without exception, these scholarship programs in the last 30 years since Milwaukee have all been focused on the poor, or disproportionately minority families and their kids, and then expanded from there. But even if you expand from there in places like Indiana to include honkies that are lower or middle income families, it's still for the purposes of integration, because the kids all want to get out of their neighborhood school and go to the better school that all the kids want to go to, regardless of their race. So it actually facilitates more integration than you get in the actually segregated K through 12 systems like the Chicago government schools. I mean, it's the most back-assward argument that you can possibly make, and yet they persist in making it because they have to serve their overlords. It just astounds me that there's people that are still buying this. Anyway, for more on this topic and other matters of economic import, please be joined by economist Stephen Moore, author of Govzilla. Thanks for joining us, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, so how much time have you got? Because I did read that op-ed piece by those two governors, and I'm still fuming about it. And you did a very good job, Dan, of dismantling their arguments. But I forget whether you mentioned, Dan, that that these two governors sent their own kids to private schools.
No,
now,
of course.
Oh,
hypocrisy. But they're saying, oh, my kids can go to private schools, but those poor black kids down the street, they can't. I mean, this is, if I sound angry, I am, because this is such a fraudulent argument. And for them to bring up the idea of Jim Crow laws, look, the most segregated schools in the country are the public schools. The private schools in this country are less segregated than the public schools. So not one single argument that they made was accurate.
Not to mention their cohorts, their party is promoting neo-segregation at the same time. I mean, they're the ones. Yeah. They're the ones that have an Atlanta grade school where the black teachers teaching the black students and the white teachers teaching the white students, and a black mom had to sue the school district over this obvious violation of Brown versus Board of Education. I mean, the whole thing is. What they get away with, it is infuriating. It's exasperating. It's frustrating. It's all those things.
Yeah. There's another point here. Look, even if we had you and I and Amy, we'd like to see universal school choice. It should be a human right. Every parent should be able to send their kids to the best school they can. I mean, what's so complicated about that? Every child, whether they're black, whether they're brown, whether they're Hispanic, whether they're low income, high income, should be able to send their kids to an excellent school. and should have the right to choose which school they want their kids to go to. Now, here's what's amazing. My son just graduated from college, and he's now teaching at a Catholic grade school in Miami, and it's mostly minority kids. It's almost all. It's incredibly multicultural, and you know what he gets paid? $20,000 a year in
That's
this
it?
Catholic school. Yeah. Well, now they do give him housing and other expense, but the point is, down the street, the decrepit public schools that don't teach the kids anything, the teachers make $80,000 a year. And my point is, virtually all of the kids in that program in that Catholic school are minorities. And they are so benefiting from it. And, I've gone to his class and seen these kids, and they're wonderful, and they're learning a lot. Some of them are challenged because they, come from broken families and so on. But here's the thing. It costs that Catholic school 1/2 as much per student as it does the public schools, the ones just on the street. So why not use that kind of model? And one other quick thing, Dan and Amy. I'm an economist. What leads to better service is competition. I think the biggest beneficiaries of school choice will be the public schools because they're going to have to compete.
All right, I know it's.
Do you disagree with that, Dan?
Of course not. Of course not. It's just the battle rages on, and you have to keep fighting it. And frankly, at least in North Carolina, they had Roy Cooper had to back down over his opposition to school choice because of Republican-controlled legislature there, and hopefully that will lead some North Carolinians to rethink their choice when it comes to the president and statewide office holders going forward. So. But the fight continues. I wanted to get to a couple other topics too, because I love the hilarity of the befuddled Western nations, including our own. But it's even worse in Europe. The headline out of Germany. Germany, which has eschewed nuclear energy, it now wants to consider whether or not they should restock with nuclear weapons because of America's perceived pullback from providing Europeans their security against foreign aggressors like the Russians and the Chinese. So no nuclear energy to power our economy, but we're going to consider nuclear weapons.
Well, look, it's about time that Europe, I'm going to sound a little bit like Donald Trump here, but I'm a big believer that Europe should be responsible mostly for its own defenses. And Trump has been right that the Europeans have not ponied up, and we've paid way more than our fair share, even though the Russians and the Chinese are in their backyard, not our backyard. But, the important point is, why is it that the left is opposed to nuclear power? Nuclear power emits no carbon into the atmosphere. It is the ultimate solution to, if you're worried about climate change, then you should be 100% in favor of nuclear power.
Well, they hear the word nuclear, and that's a trigger.
No,
I know it is. You're right.
The word that's a trigger to them, as we now know, is not is growth. Is growth.
Right. And you can't have, and you and I are saying the same thing, because you can't have growth without energy.
Right.
The more expensive you make, the whole history of human progress has been finding ways to use energy to increase, our living standards. And so Europe is a basket case right now, folks. Europe is receding. It is so tied up in the knots by this green energy nonsense that they are deindustrializing that continent. And what's so scary, Ann and Amy, is we can see what happened over there because they're 10 years ahead of us on this green energy nonsense. And now we're doing it here, even though we know it doesn't work.
And their gas is so expensive. And I don't know if they raise those prices just to drive people out of cars to take public transportation.
Of course they do.
Or what?
Of
Just
course
like Gavin
they do.
Newsom does.
Amy,
Why is gas still almost
cars.
$7 in California? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, people have to understand the left hates cars. They don't want people driving cars for a lot of reasons, but cars signify freedom. You can go anywhere, anytime, as you want, and they want to stick everybody on buses and rail systems.
All right, Stephen Moore, I have to ask, did you have cereal for dinner? Because in these tough times when consumers are under pressure, here's the Kellogg's CEO.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they might otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable.
Who's laughing? Oh yeah, you're laughing.
Are you making this up? Is that a parody?
No, he was
No.
on.
What's wrong with
CNBC
Cheerios for dinner?
He was on CNBC saying that it's a new marketing ploy because I don't know. I'm sure you haven't been to the grocery store, but everything's gone up. It's the most expensive groceries have been in 30 years.
Oh my God, that is the deepest indictment of Bidenomics I've ever heard. I mean, that's an unbelievable thing. Cereal for dinner, no meat, no protein. You just get Special K, right?
Yeah, well, there's protein in the flakes.
You got to meet people where they are, as he said, and mainly they're in migrant shelters. So
I bet they're not eating cereal for dinner, but we are.
a cereal. It's what's for dinner.
I just saw, by the way, a report by Bloomberg. Guess which state in the United States had the biggest increase in migrant flow in 2023?
New York?
No, it's the biggest increase.
Oh. I don't know. Dan, you want to take a stab?
Illinois.
Oh.
Illinois. Yeah, of course.
You guys wanted them. You got them.
Oh, no,
No.
we have
It's great.
And when it's warm out
we're all
there on
gonna-
every street corner doing whatever they want, juggling or
I have to
chiclets.
say, I got to tell you guys, I have a lot of friends in the North Shore area, and that's an affluent area, and some of them are liberals, and they're like, where did all these migrants come from?
Yeah, exactly.
They're so hypocritical.
Meet your new neighbors.
They're supposed to go to the low-income areas, not here in Wilmette and Winnetka. Come on, that's not where they were supposed to put the migrants.
Well, tell your rich friends, your Tony friends on the North Shore, to go to the store, pick up a box of Captain Crunch, and have some migrants over for dinner.
By the way, they probably have an empty bedroom in their house. Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Steve Moore, economist, Godzilla author. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Have a good day. Bye,
Thanks.
guys.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicagoland agrees. McGrath Lexus is the overwhelming choice of luxury vehicle shoppers. Their unparalleled team of sales consultants expertly help you navigate their immense inventory to arrive at the perfect vehicle for you. With 2 convenient state-of-the-art dealerships in downtown Chicago and in Westmont, they offer 2 times the selection and 2 times the discounts. And right now, McGrath Lexus is offering a premium for your current vehicle. It will never be worth more. Make this the year you enjoy the luxury of Lexus, as only McGrath can offer. Your McGrath experience will take Lexus ownership to a whole new level. Do not deny yourself